Hello and welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we're taking a look at some products from Super Clean. This is a company that is based in Minnesota, so this is an American-made product by an American-owned company, which first of all always tickles my fancy. I love it when we have American products to talk about here today. And this video is indeed sponsored by Super Clean, but if you're watching this here today, you are probably seeing this at the same time that they're seeing it here. No editorial deferment to them, so we'll proceed with that little footnote out of the way. And so what the products that they've provided us with for a little bit of a test today, we've got a floor absorbent here, perfect for a garage. You might have oil or engine coolant that falls on the floor that you want to clean up on your garage floor. We've got a couple forms of a degreaser to dissolve grease super fast. We've got a foaming version, we've got a aerosol version and a regular squirt spray version. And then we also have a wheel cleaner. So one detail here to get out of the way, just to clarify, when I saw this purple packaging for the first time, it made me think of the motor oil brand Royal Purple and their other associate automotive products. But talking with the folks at Super Clean, they have no affiliation with Royal Purple. They just went with distinctive purple packaging, which I do have to say does make it easy to find on the shelves in the store. So I've been able to find this in the store at O'Reilly, AutoZone, and other stores. You can also pick it up online. And so it's relatively widely available. And like I said before, this is an American company. And so these products here are available in a variety of sizes. So if you're so inclined and you need something a little bit larger in quantity, they also provide these products in drums. So if you run a car wash or have another industrial operation, you can get an appropriate amount of Super Clean size to match your application. And you can also get some handy dandy usage and dilution charts to be able to properly dilute everything the way that it's intended to be diluted. So some of their recommended applications here include drain opening, floor wax removal, fireplace cleaning, appliance cleaning, blinds, stove tops, porcelain, barbecue grills, plastic furniture, chrome, stainless steel, auto parts, carpeting, vinyl seating, chrome, on boats or marine to deal with algae stains, algae growth, and so on. So there's a wide range of applications that they've got, and they've got some handy dandy little reference charts here. I'll see if I can put a picture of this on screen that you can see these dilution charts between full strength versus 3:1, 8:1, and 16:1 dilution ratios, which I think is great to be able to have as a reference to know what the intended quantity is, that you're not overly using the product or underusing it to get the results that you're not expecting. And so when you are diluting this, their intention is that the dilution is done with cold water as opposed to hot water. So you don't need to get one of those expensive hot water pressure washers to use these products. That's just from what the manufacturer is claiming. And so we're going to put some of that to the test today. And so as you might have seen from one of my other videos, and I'll put a card up in the corner below, in the past, one of my preferred products for cleaning the garage floor has been this Rust-Oleum Degreaser. So one of the things I thought was interesting looking at the safety data sheets from Rust-Oleum and Super Clean is I can tell that these products are not formulated the same based on their active ingredients. So there is a chemical difference between these two products that I'll be curious to see how that plays out, and we'll play that out here on video here to see how these products compare. And then another degreaser that I've used from time to time has been this WD-40 Specialist. So we'll also be comparing the Super Clean to those products to see how everything performs. Before going too far with cleaning your garage floor, the very first thing you're going to want to do is sweep up all the loose debris on the floor. So as you can see here, I've got some leaves and sawdust and sand from the kids' sandbox, and I'm not sure what else is in that pile. But you want to get all that stuff up before we try to remove any other debris from our garage floor. One spot of note here on my garage floor as I begin to get started here is I did an oil change the other day, and there's a small little spot that has a little bit of standing oil left in it from where my oil pan was underneath my car. And so we're going to try to address that first with our floor absorbent from Super Clean before we move on to pressure washing the garage floor. So now I'm going to reach for the floor absorber and just to take a look at what's in here. To me, this looks a little bit like sawdust, but I'm thinking there's more in here than just sawdust. And then if you lift up on the lid, there's a little bit of a shaker thing there. So I'm going to shake this out onto the spill. There, now I've got it fully contained, and according to the directions, I need to give this a couple minutes to be able to absorb the oil. So if we look at the label on the rear, you can see this is suggested for home, garage, manufacturing, sports, airports, transportation, farm, and oil drilling, even with the American flag on the back, product of USA. And so the three-step process here: spread or pour absorbent on the spill, give absorbent a few minutes to work, sweep it up, and then dispose of the compound in compliance with applicable regulation. Now that we've let this stand for a little bit, we'll go ahead and sweep it up. It seems like if I need it to, and if it was an extra thick spill, you could turn this over to make sure that you got the full absorbing capability of all of the product here. And because this does contain oil residual in it, you want to be careful in terms of how you dispose of this. They call that out on the label. Not every location will allow you to put this into the landfill. So dispose of this in a manner that is appropriate for your area. And so now, as a little bit of a test, I've got a blue shop towel that I'm going to wipe over this to see if there's any oil that comes up, to see how good of a job this oil absorber did. You can see that's what comes up on it. There's a little bit of debris on it, and just by feeling it, it doesn't really feel like there's anything still wet on the floor, so that did a good job there. I'm very pleased with that. Now we'll dispose of this, and then we'll move on to being able to pre-treat our other spots on our floor and get out the pressure washer. So here in my garage, I'm going to focus on a couple spots here that I think provide a reasonable comparison for the different contenders for chemicals to help you clean your garage floor. And what we're going to be looking at here is this spot here. It's got what I believe is probably a little bit of engine coolant. I've had a slow leak on my Volvo SUV that I've been needing to get to, and so there's been a little bit that's dripped out. I think I've got that mostly tracked down to a leaky hose, but that's neither here nor there. And so anyway, so we got a couple of very distinct spots here on the floor that I want to get rid of. And so looking at the chart for the Super Clean, it recommends full strength for shop floors. I think a garage floor very clearly qualifies as a shop floor. It'd be nice if their instruction guide was a little more clear for concrete garage floors, but we'll go with that, and it recommends for full strength. As far as I can tell, this bottle, as you get it, is quote-unquote full strength. And so we'll go ahead and place that. We also have the WD-40 degreaser, and we also have the Rust-Oleum. This is the one that I've used probably the most personally and have been pleased with, and so it'll be interesting to see how these products compare. And so go ahead and start with the WD-40, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to spray it on this spot here, and we'll let it sit. And so that's going to be our WD-40 spot. And then for the Super Clean, we'll take this back spot here. And we'll see how that does. And then for the Rust-Oleum, we'll take the other side of that spot there. So this does not come in a squirt bottle. This comes in a squirt container. So it's a little bit of a different format in terms of how you use it. So I'm just going to squirt that right on. And you can see the Rust-Oleum here is not foaming the way that the other ones were foaming out of the squirt bottle. So now I'm going to let those sit. And I'm going to try to work those in a little bit here with a towel into these spots. All right, that was the WD-40. Now we'll go for the Super Clean. That definitely has a little bit more of a soapier feel to it. Then over here, we'll go with the Rust-Oleum. I'm doing my best to keep these from crossing over here. This also has a little bit of a soap to it. You can see what those look like on the bottom of the rags. And so now the next thing is going to be to compare this with a pressure washer to see how these look after pressure washing. So I'll have to set these aside a little bit further to give my pressure washer a little bit of space to hopefully get some water in here. And we'll leave the camera going at the same angle. So now that I've done pressure washing, hopefully you can see a difference. And as far as I can tell, let me put this back in its corner. And this back here, and this back there. That it looks like all the products did a pretty good job, and it's hard to tell one from the other than from the packaging itself. There's a little bit of residual soap bubbles that I can see from the Super Clean or possibly from the WD-40. Obviously the runoff kind of ran together there. You can definitely see on the side where the WD-40 or the Rust-Oleum was, where the pressure washer was still able to make a little bit of a dent in the debris here. You see where my strokes were from the pressure washing. That kind of extends up a little bit there further, especially into the Rust-Oleum that I was not able to see with the Super Clean or the WD-40. And so it seems like just on a very first glance, the fact that I don't see some of these same stroke marks from the pressure washer on the Super Clean, the WD-40 side, makes me think that maybe there's a chance that there's a better product out there than the Rust-Oleum. And so now I'm going to continue to clean the rest of my garage floor. Now that we've established that the Super Clean is at least in the right ballpark and is doing an effective job on the concrete at that full squirt-on strength, I've got a few other spots that we'll be paying attention to. Let me turn the camera here. Here's another spot that will definitely be one that I pay attention to, and a few others here that I'm going to go ahead and do this entirely with the Super Clean. Now I also have a squeegee, as you probably saw, to help me evacuate the water afterwards. So now I'm going to go ahead and spray this down with the Super Clean and give this a chance to hopefully soak here a little bit into the concrete. Remember, concrete is a porous surface. And now I'm going to use the squeegee to help to rub in and to provide a little bit of an abrasive on the concrete to hopefully get it to take up that Super Clean chemical. So hopefully you saw a little bit of the before, during, and after of the pressure washing. I want to highlight a couple of spots here. There's one spot right down here where there is some basically rust and a little bit of hot tar that was left behind. And this stain over here was not able to be fully gotten out. I'm going to have a little more of that same rust type stain over here. And so now, just to be sure that it's not the Super Clean, I'm going to try the Rust-Oleum on those stains and then pressure wash again to see if that helps. Now, to be fair to the Super Clean, that's not a necessary knock against it if you go around it on it a second time. I just want to see if it has any material difference. And then I've got another similar rust spot that I'm going to treat again with the Super Clean. That, if I turn the camera right, hopefully you'll be able to see this here. And the other rust spot is back here. This is actually, this is probably the worst rust spot of all of them. So then we've got a control here also with a second round of Super Clean on this rust spot. Applying a generous amount. And then we got another couple spots over here with the hot road tar. Well, it's not hot anymore, obviously, but would have been hot road tar picked up by the tires over the last year. And so now on camera, for camera purposes here, I'm going to go back roughly, there we go. So now for camera purposes, right back there is the second round of treatment for the rust. Right back there, second round of treatment for the rust with the Super Clean. And over here is a second round of rust treatment with the Rust-Oleum. Here's the Rust-Oleum spot. You can see the bubbles from the Rust-Oleum there. And then we'll go over here, and then here's the second round of treatment on this rust spot here with the Super Clean. This one is right by the edge of the garage as it exits out onto the driveway. And now let's take one more look at how these products performed. So let's take a look at the spot that was touched up with the Rust-Oleum. Here we go. You can see there's not much improvement on that garage floor stain. Now let's take a look at the Super Clean. And we had very similar results, that not much had changed there. It may have faded a little bit. You know, in both cases here, I'm not sure that one outperformed the other. Even in some of the other spots here with the asphalt from the road, from the oil and chip road, still present here. Super Clean didn't make much of a dent on that. Obviously, some more scrubbing would certainly help, and I think that's going to be true of whatever chemical that you're using, but I'm just trying to look at the chemical by itself today, separate from putting extra scrubbing action in it. And it seems like the Super Clean did very well in terms of how it cleaned. You can see the soap bubbles that came up. In fact, if I look out here on the driveway, you can see the soap bubbles and the soap residual that I squeegeed out of the garage is still present there. Whether you consider the soap residual a pro or a con is up to you. Not everyone will feel the same way about that. The Rust-Oleum did not produce a similar white soapy appearance in terms of how it performed, but that's how the Super Clean stacks up today. All right, so now since we still have a couple of spots that still have the rust on them, I think this would be a great chance to be able to try applying the foaming product, which is advertised as Tough Task Cleaner Degreaser, and we'll see if that does anything over and above, and we'll try the aerosol as well to see if that adds any extra cleaning power. So we're going to treat a couple of those bad spots that you saw earlier that I couldn't get up with either of the chemicals with these as a next round of treatment to see if we have any additional benefit, and then we'll pressure wash them again. We'll take this spot here towards the exit side of the garage and apply the foaming cleaner to it. And then now we'll come over here and we'll use the aerosol can and spray down this rust stain over here. You can see that goes on and looks a little bit like spray snow that you might use when decorating a Christmas window. So we've got those two spots there with some stains that were pretty tough to get up before, that we saw no success, and we'll see how this goes as we go to pressure wash this now. We've now let the foam sit for about 5 minutes. There's the spot that's closest to the edge of the garage, and you can see where that foam was broken down a little bit. And now let's go over here and look at the other spot. This was done with the aerosol foam. It's just kind of let up a little bit. So now we're going to use our pressure washer and start with the spot that we put down first. And this was with the foaming spray out of the squirt bottle. So as you can see on this spot that was treated with the aerosol foam, it maybe had just very imperceptible improvements, if any. And on the one treated with the squirt or the squeeze bottle foam, again, minimal impact, if any. So we're going to do one more thing here. I'm going to try it. I know I said earlier I wasn't going to rub it down with a brush, but we'll try it again for round 2 to see if we can get this to finally break up and to have any noticeable improvements on it. And so then, since both of these spots seem to be equally resilient, we're going to try one spot here with the super foaming spray. And then the other spot we're going to try using the Rust-Oleum. And then I'll use a scrub brush on both of them. Now I'm back at the other spot, and we're going to try the Rust-Oleum here. And one of the details on this is this does have the picture of the scrub brush around the stain. So we're going to try that and see if this works over here compared to using the same treatment with the Super Clean. And we'll come back over and look at the Super Clean side that we've scrub brushed as well earlier. Now we'll come back with the pressure washer. So now in reverse order here, we've got the Rust-Oleum side after application and pressure washing. So now on this side, so now on the Rust-Oleum side, after application, scrubbing, and pressure washing, still barely any difference compared to before. And now back on the Super Clean side, on this track here, after scrubbing that in, again, minimal difference, if any, in terms of getting rid of that rust mark. So I was hopeful that one of these two chemicals, or three, was going to do something even with the scrub brush. It looks like we're getting nowhere with it. These are just some really bad stains that I have on my garage floor. Obviously, your mileage may vary with different types of stain and debris that you've got. So now looking in conclusion at this line of Super Clean products, the first thing we're going to do is the all-wheel cleaner. We'll set that aside. We didn't really talk about that in this video. We'll have another video all about that. So we'll put that aside, and we'll look at what we've got left here. So first thing that we'll notice, the floor absorbent, I think that worked really well to get the oil spot off the floor. No problem with that. The shop rag afterwards seemed to indicate that that got nearly all of it. Definitely a worthwhile product to have. I might have another comparison comparing that to some other products in the future. Look forward to that. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As far as the other bits here, in terms of application of trying to clean my concrete garage floor, they were all, they worked at least as reasonably well as we could get them to work. They did not work any worse than the Rust-Oleum or the WD-40. I was really hoping that coming back after with the regular and hitting it with a 1-2 punch of either the foaming spray or the aerosol spray would have got the last of my rust spots on my floor up and completely removed even after using a scrub brush. But even a couple of my spots, even though the Rust-Oleum has that pictured on the front, even it didn't do the same job for getting rid of the same stains. So obviously your mileage may vary in terms of the spots on your floor. That all these were used at full strength. I didn't dilute it just to get that maximum cleaning power that I could get out of it to try to address the spots on my floor. So obviously your mileage is going to vary in your specific garage floor for what you need to clean it. So now looking at the options here and wrapping up here today, the Rust-Oleum, which had been my previous go-to, I think performed how it normally did, but it's just interesting to see it side by side other products. And I have to say that they all performed very well. The Rust-Oleum, which I kind of expected would have outperformed the others, didn't. It's also the most difficult for me to obtain. My local stores where I used to pick this up no longer carry it. And so just in terms of availability locally and price, this is towards the upper end of the spectrum on that, and I'm seeing no benefit from that. We'll push that aside. The WD-40 is only available in the squirt bottle. And compared to the cost availability of the Super Clean, I think the Super Clean kind of takes the cake in terms of how much it costs, and I can certainly see the appeal of the various foaming options for where that might have some appeal to make sure you get a direct power, although I didn't seem to see that the foam in the aerosol or the squirt bottle was any different or had that much improvement on it, at least in my specific highly non-scientific case study here that you saw in this video. But it seems reasonable at this, letting it sit there and kind of foam. You can very clearly see where you placed it and where you didn't. So if you're trying to make sure you got that spot and come back a second or a third time to make sure you got the foam spray on to try to dissolve tough stains and grease, I can certainly see that in terms of making sure that you've got it limited where it was there and you had good coverage. It was very easy to see the coverage of where that was, whereas the Rust-Oleum was just a clear liquid that we just kind of squirted on. A little bit harder to see exactly where it was placed. I like the foam. I could see where it was and where it was not on the margins of the stain. And so just based on dollar value and availability, I think the Super Clean takes it for me, at least in this case here today. All these products are made in America. Looking on the back of the Rust-Oleum and the WD-40, they do mention made in the USA. I wasn't able to determine where they were made. I'd be curious if there's any other suppliers in between that are making some of these products. But that's what I found today. If you've had any experience using Super Clean, Rust-Oleum, WD-40, or any other products, put down in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. I think everyone else would love to hear your experience. If you've got good, bad, or indifferent experiences for how these different products stack up with each other, we'd love to hear about it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.